All right, my friends. We just pressed the Let's Go Live button, which means we've got to wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the interwebs. Before we go ahead and get started, got to make sure those tubes are working. And it looks like some of them are working. Aha. Come on over here. We were having some Rumble problems today, and we had to reschedule the Rumble situation. Hopefully Rumble is kicking over, because the tubes look connected over here. I think we're live. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we're talking about the Democrat Civil War, which is happening right now, and it's a lot of fun. We're watching two sides at play. One side says Joe Biden is competent, which is basically like Joe Biden, Jill Biden, and Hunter, and the rest of the Democratic Party doesn't really know what to do right now. And so there's this big fissure that is happening, and we're going to talk about it. But before we get into all of that, we got some interesting things that we're cooking today in Congress. Of course, we're talking about this GARM situation. The harm from GARM is something we'll be talking about, because we know that this thing existed all the way back in 2020 when they were basically using advertising dollars, right? Corporations would come in and they'd say, look, we got to spend money anyways. So why don't we just use our advertising dollars to sway policy? You know, like, let's just tell Facebook, hey, we got to advertise our soap for your dishes, but we're not going to advertise our soap for your dishes if you also have advertisements for Trump. And lo and behold, now we have censorship of Trump using advertising dollars in a fashion that seemingly has nothing to do with politics. So they're getting away with manipulating the system because that's all they do. They're cheaters, liars, bullies, and thieves. So we'll talk about that because there was a hearing today. Matt Gaetz was lacing into some dude who's the CEO of some mega corporation who just sat there like all day. So Matt Gaetz was there and talking to him about it. And so we'll go through that. Matt Gaetz was saying, well, why did you guys target Trump ads? If you're not political, why were you specifically singling out your vice president of development morons is sending emails over there saying target Trumps? We don't want our advertisements going next to Trumps or whatever. Why that? So Matt Gaetz got into it. We then are going to talk about GARM. The House Judiciary Committee has submitted a notice, a tweet thread. Hey, okay, cool. We're working on Rumble. Hopefully we're working on locals too. That's what I was looking. I can't tell. All right. We also have a nice little tweet thread, X thread. Sorry, Elon, don't ban me. We're going to go through that one. And we have a judiciary report that came out. We'll read through the executive summary on this because it details what they were doing. They were targeting Joe Rogan. They were targeting Spotify. They targeted us, but we didn't get in the report because we're not important enough yet. So, all right, we'll keep working on that. But we'll go through that. We'll read through that. And then we'll have Jim Jordan, who will come through and ask them, why were you colluding against Republicans? Why are you colluding against companies like the Daily Wire, who was there testifying today via Ben Shapiro? Now, we also have, we're going to have just, you'll hear a little pause in this first segment because we're going to shout out our friends at Ground News. You can check them out, of course, if you'd like to. But we're not, we're just going to pause on that. We have live stream privilege here. And so you'll see that promo in the replay. We love our live stream privilege here when we have it, but that's what's coming up. So then we also have, in our second segment, we'll be talking about Biden and the cover-up that is underway. I mean, look, yes, it's a problem that we have a demented president. Sucks. We all know that. Now, the thing is, we've known that for a long time now. And the question that we have is, who is responsible for covering this up? Clearly, there was a lot more going on there. And they had neurology meetings, and Kareen's lying all over the place about what's happening there. But the question is, what is Congress going to do about it? Who is responsible for lying to most of America and wrecking the executive branch? So we'll go through this. We have Representative Luna, who was out. And in fact, they were supposed to be voting on contempt like an hour ago, and they were not doing that. Congress not on schedule. Very irritating for my show preparation. It's like, golly, we're trying to do a show here, Congress. Would be nice if you ran on schedule. Perfect. Okay. So they just went live, it looks like. Part 2, and Representative Luna, actually good. They went live right when I needed them to. So this is great. Thank you for cooperating. So Congress is cooperating with us. It's live right now. And apparently we're going to be hearing from Representative Luna and maybe some others. So we'll come back. We'll check on that one. So anyways, we're talking about that. Contempt. Luna dropped some explainers on her X account saying that we are going for inherent contempt. We've got constitutional authority to do it. And they're not going to jail him, unfortunately. They're not going to round him up and throw him in custody. But what they are going to do is fine him. And we'll talk through that one. Mike Benz, you know who he is. He was having a conversation with Luna about what the inherent contempt will look like. And so we'll go through that. Trump is endorsing this wholly, saying it's time to get tough with these people. So we'll see what he said. And then this just broke from the Oversight Committee. They're actually sending out subpoenas now to Biden's staff, the people who were involved in the Biden brain cover-up, making us all believe fraudulently that our president was competent. I mean, they got mad about Trump for falsifying a business record, for mislabeling something. That's the allegation, which is not even true in my opinion. But that's that. They falsified an entire brain, not just a check entry, a whole brain. A whole human. So it's a big deal. Anyways, so they're going to subpoena the staff, the people who were digging into it. And we'll see what those letters look like from the Oversight Committee. It wasn't a subpoena. I misspoke. It's a demand for a deposition. So the subpoenas come after the demand. So we'll go through that. And then in our third and final segment, man, Biden loses Hollywood. Oh, no. George Clooney's very upset. And people are saying, well, obviously George Clooney is just a proxy for Obama. And so this is now like in the movies where the head chief guy, the mob boss, goes like this, you know, he just kind of pulls his earlobe and everyone knows what to do. So that's what happened. Obama did the thing. And now George Clooney wrote an op-ed. It's pretty short. We'll read it. And I think this is reprehensible, quite frankly. I mean, millions of Democrats have spoken. They've said, Joe Biden represents me. I see myself in him. And so they voted for him, and they're going to try to disenfranchise him. This is the so-called Democratic Party. All right, I'll save it for that segment. But they're going to disenfranchise all these people because Hollywood and Disney heiresses are having a hissy fit over this. Who's in charge of this party? What's going on? So David Axelrod says George Clooney's op-ed is devastating because George Clooney put in a little kill shot in there where he said specifically that Joe Biden's been this way for a long time. It wasn't a new thing. It wasn't an aberration. This is Joe Biden. It's just who he is. And so I know it's George Clooney. Nobody has seen him since he was terrible in that Batman film. The worst ever. Exactly right. The worst. What was that? I don't even know. But David Axelrod said it was devastating. And then they brought out Michael Douglas. And Michael Douglas has reversed his message. So back in March, Michael Douglas, who was in Franklin, and I watched it. Now, I'm not real happy with his portrayal of Franklin. I don't think it was very on point, but whatever. Old Michael Douglas said that Biden is sharp as a tack like 3 months ago. And now he's coming out and saying, yeah, we probably have to get rid of him now. Right. Well, some people like George Clooney's Batman, but I mean, if you're going to rank them, who's better? Who's worse than Clooney? Was it like Val Kilmer, maybe? I mean, I think the first one, that first guy was good, whatever his name was. Anyways, we'll save that for later. So Rob Reiner is also agreeing on this. So Michael Douglas flip-flops because they all do. Is they just, get the memo. Rob Reiner agrees. He says it's time to go. Senator Tim Kaine says Joe will do the patriotic thing and get out of here. We'll see if that's happening or not. And we got questions about the big boy press conference. There's going to be a big boy press conference tomorrow. Ben Affleck. Oh yeah, that's a good call too. Big boy press conference is coming out, and Joe Biden was speaking today. And I don't know what was going on here, but somebody had a stroke on camera, so we'll play that clip. And we'll go through all of it. So we're going through it. we got 3 good segments to attend to today. And of course, we'll discuss Batman and see what you guys think about it and why George Clooney ruined the whole franchise. Thanks, George. All right. Anyways, if you want to join us when we do our members only morning stream, we'd love to have you, whether you join us on YouTube or on Locals. Come out and join us. This morning, we had a great members only stream. We were talking about some other stuff. These 2 items. We saw that George Stephanopoulos was revealing himself in a hidden recording as he was walking around the streets of New York. And he got asked a question, said, Joe Biden's not going to make it for 4 years, dude. Are you friggin' nuts? And then he says, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. And we're all thinking to ourselves, yeah, you should have. In fact, that's kind of what we want to hear from you. So we'll go through that. And then Biden wimped out on the challenge. And we broke that whole thing now. Joe Biden challenged Trump first. Trump was just answering the call. Then Joe Biden weenied out like a big weenie. So all that was in our AM morning Membo stream. And if you missed that, we'll have those segments out later. But we'd love it if you come join us watching thewatchers.locals.com or on YouTube as a Membo. Great to have you. All right. So without any further ado, let's get into it because we've got some business to attend to on the day. An anti-Trump election rigging operation was discussed today in Congress. A lot of spotlight been shining down upon it there in Congress lately. We have Matt Gaetz, who was there asking questions from this CEO and others who were involved in an organization called GARM. GARM, the Global Alliance for Responsible Media. If you don't do what they want you to do, then you're not responsible. You're irresponsible. So they had a big hearing today, and Matt Gaetz was saying, why did you guys specifically target Trump ads back in 2020 by saying, we're not going to advertise with you, Facebook, unless you do something to remove those ads? The Judiciary Committee released a full report on it. We'll hit the highlights. And Jim Jordan was also there asking and inquiring as to their collusion. So just to set the tone, set the scene, here's what Matt Gaetz said. And he was there asking other people about their operations and how they spent their advertising dollars today in Congress.
Mr. Patel, are you part of an organization that uses market power for censorship?
No, sir.
And how much advertising capital do you deploy annually?
How much marketing investment do we spend?
Yeah.
850 million a year.
Woo, that's a lot.
You said less than 1% of that in the news area, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's because really your brands don't want to be involved in these caustic news disputes or political disputes. They want to be apolitical in the presentation of their brand. Am I understanding that testimony correctly?
So we serve 90% of American households with our portfolio.
It's a fascinating answer, just not to my question. Is the reason you de-emphasize news because you want to be apolitical?
We target our investment to address the consumers that buy our brands.
Okay, are you doing so for political reasons or apolitical reasons?
We don't do it for any political reason.
Okay, so then why are the vice presidents of your company trying to shape the way Facebook limits view of a Trump advertisement?
So I'm not sure what the intention of that communication was, but that's
I do. It was to get the Trump ad taken down. It's pretty clear. You had 2 vice presidents, Rob Master and Luis DeComo, who were pressuring Facebook to utilize Facebook's policies to take down a Trump ad. So it's just hard to believe that your goal is to avoid politics when not some intern at your company, but the vice presidents at Unilever are writing Facebook saying, we want you to take this Trump ad down and apply these policies to do it.
So I'm not sure what the intention of communication was, but
I'll tell you what, I'll read you the communication. It's 2 words. It's your vice president to GARM when they were trying to get the Facebook ad taken out. It said, honestly reprehensible. So you're using this $800 million plus power that you have over the marketplace. Facebook is craving your advertising dollars. And you have 2 vice presidents hammering Facebook to take down a Trump ad about whether or not Joe Biden should have his ear inspected for an earpiece. That was what the ad was about, that you all found so reprehensible.
So respectfully, I'm not sure that word was done by a Unilever person.
You're okay. So Mr. DeComo didn't work for Unilever?
He sits on the. If I did my homework right, I think that came from the GARM, Rob.
Oh, Rob Rankowitz, yes. And but you are member entities to GARM. You pay GARM. You guys are GARM. I mean, as Mr. Jewell said, you guys you have to have tools in order to help you place your ads. So you go fund GARM, and then here your vice presidents are commiserating with GARM over the fact that Facebook won't remove this. I guess, Mr. Shapiro, when we look at these big...
Now, before we pause over and hear from Ben, we have, just to be ultra clear what's happening here, we have $1 billion almost, right? $700 million, which is about almost $1 billion. And when you combine their advertising with other major corporations, that is a lot of money. And so they're only selling dish soap. You say, are you guys running political advertisements? They say, no, of course, we're apolitical. We don't care about politics at all. We just care about people buying our dish soap or whatever. We're Unilever. So they are selling advertisements, get your dishes clean, okay? And they're advertising, spamming that all over Facebook. And then they go out and they say, listen, Facebook and GARM, right? If you're going to continue to get our dollars, we'd like to make sure that our ads, this is how they frame it, we don't want our ads appearing next to other bad ads. But conveniently, guess what those other bad ads are? Oh, Trump's politics. And so they have VPs just sending information back and forth and basically threatening, leveraging them. And then they all agree, they're all in cahoots to censor one side. Ben Shapiro has been on the receiving end of that, as have we. Here's what he said.
Advertising platforms, and they're hearing the people with the advertising dollars hammer them with this ideological tilt. What does that do to the marketplace for ideas?
Obviously, it shuts down the marketplace of ideas, which is largely the intent. And one of the things that I've heard from some of the Democratic members of the committee today is an extraordinary amount of projection wherein they suggest that Republican members of the committee are trying to shut down free speech by trying to get answers to questions about the kind of political pressures that are being put on social media companies, for example. But it's been Democrats who, for years, have been spending their time trying to pressure social media companies into doing their bidding by limiting the types of information that are available to the public and how that information is actually distributed. One of the things that's worth noting here is that it's not just a matter of advertising dollars flowing. The way that it works on social media is that if you are demonetized, then the reach of your actual content is also limited by the same social media companies.
Do you think the frequency of those demonetization rises when you have vice presidents of companies at Unilever trying to hammer entities like Facebook into taking down Trump ads?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question that when you have internal pressures put on social media companies to take down right-wing material, that has an impact on the reach of right-wing messaging. There's just no question.
And I guess I don't mind when Democrats say they don't like conservative speech, or we get to say we don't like some of their speech. That's how this works. But it's when the business community colludes and utilizes market power to shape the way social media companies or websites disseminate information, that the public doesn't even get to see that debate and engage it. And I think the fact that it's clandestine is actually even more corrosive to the values that undergird.
That's absolutely true. The complete lack of transparency with which GARM treats both the member companies as well as the consuming public is one of the major problems. If they simply wish to levy a boycott against a right-wing source, they should simply say that's what they're doing. Hiding behind fake standards in order to project objectivity is a major problem in transparency for the market.
Man, Ben Shapiro is one of the smartest dudes you'll ever hear, and he's also a wizard. I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you can see this, he's got a floating water bottle right next to him. He's like answering questions from Congress, and he's like practicing Jedi wizard tricks. He's just like, hey, it's like me doing a whole show right here, and I just have this floating can hanging out right next to me. Ben Shapiro's just like, what else? You want me to lift a friggin' aircraft carrier too? Watch this. Watch this one. He lifts this up too. Unbelievable. I don't know what they're doing over there at the Daily Wire, but it's pretty impressive. So well done to Ben Shapiro. So he also, by the way, beat the hell out of Eric Swalwell, treated him, maybe beat the hell's not the right phrase, but he treated him like his little sister almost. Like, just like, wow. Total embarrassment to Eric Swalwell. You know him. He's that representative who made Bang Bang with Fang Fang, that Chinese spy. And so we'll come back on that, listen to a little bit of that here in a minute. But let's take a look at what the Judiciary Committee has ultimately submitted in their report. They put together an amazing tweet thread that details what GARM is and how it works. And we're going to jump right into it right after I share this quick message with you from our friends at Ground News. And now let's take a look at this tweet thread from the House Judiciary Committee, which tells us everything we need to know about GARM. You can see here, they say how they are controlling online speech utilizing their advertising dollars. And they're going to do this to rig the entire election, just like they did last time. Shut up and stop advertising for Trump, for Republicans, suppress those stories. It's like going to people's houses and ripping yard signs out of their front doors. It is election rigging. They're all going to say, well, it's my private enterprise. And so is that the new standard now? Your private enterprises, as long as they're a private enterprise, they can rig elections. Is that the type of democracy we live in? Or is that a fascist state that the Democrats constantly rant about? But anyways, here's what the Judiciary Committee wrote. They said, corporations and ad agencies and associations through GARM, they participated in actions to demonetize disfavored creators and people. And so they went around. It was formed by the World Federation of Advertisers. They claim that they're going to be protecting brand safety. But just look at this. This is why it's so powerful. Some of these charts are wild. So WFA members combine almost $1 trillion in global ad spend. That is so much money. That's a lot of super chats, man. And GARM includes every major ad agency holding company in its ranks. Hundreds of ad agencies are included. The world's largest media buying agency is in its leadership. Look at all these people. Now, you wouldn't recognize most of these probably. I don't. But there is a lot of companies on there, all mega advertising conglomerates, all under control of some unifying body. They all have to adhere to GARM protocols. And if the GARM people hate Trump, well, they all comply. It's like the conductor of an orchestra, just telling them all how to operate. And they all just buckle because they don't have any independent thought because they're NPCs. GARM members, they colluded to go after Twitter. Right after Elon bought it, they went bananas. As of early November 2022, Danish energy company and GARM member Ørsted, they contacted GARM here to discuss the Twitter situation. Oh no. Rob, that guy we just heard about, says, "Hi Rob, I'm reaching out to ask you if it's possible to arrange a meeting to hear more about your perspectives about the Twitter situation and a possible boycott from many companies." The Twitter situation. Oh no, someone else bought it. They don't control it. GARM surveyed its members about Elon. The survey would give advertisers the confidence to pull their ad campaigns. So they said, well, here's how we can handle it. Here's another email from this company over to this company. It says, "Hi again. Can you please advise me on the latest updates about Twitter? Or perhaps you have a place where I can read more about your perspective on Twitter as a platform after Elon Musk bought it." Says, "Based on your recommendations from Ørsted, we've stopped all paid advertisement because the platform was rather unsafe. Unsafe due to Elon. He fired a lot of resources. It's an important platform for us to reach our audience, though, so we would like to go back. We just need to know whether or not the platform is safe for us." Rob Rakowitz, who leads GARM, denied organizing a boycott, but he did take credit for Twitter's revenue decline. He says, "Yeah, this is good. You know, I did some tweaking on the edges to help contextualize who we are and what we're doing on your memo. But I'd like to point out that nowhere in this email is the 'you may recognize my name from being the idiot who challenged Musk on brand safety issues,' you know, since they're 80% below revenue forecasts. Like, don't refer to me as that guy who dropped Elon's revenue by 80%. He puts a cowboy hat on, right? Because these are little communists who just like to take out their competition. They want everybody to be under the thumb of the government and the communist orchestrators. But if you then lose control of an entity, they have to destroy you and bring you back to heel. So that's what he's upset. He's very excited about that. So he's knocked down Twitter revenue by 80%. Now, GARM went beyond brand safety. They also went after Joe Rogan. Punks. Says a GARM steer team member accused Spotify of supporting Rogan. They said it's anti-vax misinfo. Why? Spotify said we should have different opinions there. That was the comment from Joe, which we won't play for copyright reasons. But the GARM steer member who had issues with Spotify was Joe Barone of Group M. Group M didn't even buy ads on Rogan. So Barone said so himself. So there wasn't any brand safety concern at all. So this other group's just like, we just don't like Joe Rogan, okay? He's like bad for vaccine misinfo. And they're just little dictators. They appear to have wanted to silence Rogan's views anyways. So this guy just sends an email. He's like a Karen. Joe Barone Karen, aka Karen from E-Group, says, "Hi, can we discuss this steer at the next steer team meeting? Spotify guidelines are pretty spotty at best." Pun intended. Pretty spotty at best. Hilarious. Get it? Spotify has spotty guidelines. Hilarious, Joe. Well done. Managing partner for Brand Safety Americas. And he's got a Rainbow Group M, whatever that is, and a Black Lives Matter in his email signature. Or actually, there's probably pronouns in there too, but they're redacted. So I have no idea what the pronouns are. So I don't want to mispronoun or misgender anybody, but good question. Joe, I don't know what that, who knows? I presume it, but I don't want to do that here because he's got rainbows and BLM stuff on there. So who knows? In fact, there's probably multiple different lines of pronouns for different days of the week. Who knows? I can't tell. It's redacted. So Joe Barone, he sends this out from Joe Barone. He says, yeah, this afternoon we addressed the Joe Rogan misinformation issue with Spotify. Their position was laid out by so-and-so and so-and-so. Acknowledged that they reviewed the podcast in question and approved its airing. So that Joe Rogan has a little censor committee he also has to get through. This was not a case of misinfo slipping through the cracks, okay? They also acknowledge that they are in a learning and development mode. They're in the process of updating their content policy, so it's not so spotty. We noted that Group M does not even buy ads on Joe Rogan, and therefore we had no client exposure, so this ad group. However, we pointed out the fact that our clients are concerned with human safety and supporting platforms that enable harmful content. So you see that? That's a threat right there. That's our clients know that we advertise on Spotify. So Group M supports a bunch of liberal freak show groups. And they say, Joe Rogan's on Spotify. He's got an exclusive deal. Are we advertising on Spotify? We are. Maybe they can do something about Joe Rogan. And so they're using their leverage to just shut Joe Rogan up because they're little censors. Joe Rogan's right. They were wrong. So Joe Barone, with the rainbow and the BLM signature and probably pronouns in there, is calling in his little Karen. Can you censor Joe Rogan, please? He makes me uncomfortable. GARM attacks disfavored outlets like Breitbart, Real Daily Wire, Fox News. We got demonetized for 9 months after January 6th because we were harmful and dangerous here. Yeah, thanks to YouTube. We had medical misinformation strikes from YouTube for stuff that was proven right later. It's like, wow. That was right. Like, okay, thanks. Yeah, Joe, like, literally happened. Thanks for censoring that for us. Of course you know it's right. That's why they censored it. So we had that. We had a bunch of other stuff. What was the other one? Election misinformation. Yeah, I think 1 or 2 of those. One we appealed and won it immediately, but the other one we stuck. So anyways, they do it to everybody. We're not immune for it. In fact, that's why we're so grateful that Rumble and Locals exists, and we encourage everybody to follow us on all the various platforms, now X too. So Group M is a GARM member. They explained to GARM's lead how it monitors media it doesn't even support, like the Daily Wire. They monitor it to find something wrong. Their email below sums up their thought about misinformation. They say it's politically divisive content. Referring to Breitbart, Group M executives said that they hated their ideology and BS. So you have little censors. This is what they do. Could you imagine being a person like this? Could you imagine just sitting around sending emails like this all day? Gosh, get a freaking life. So this guy, John, sends this email to Rob and to Joe. And I don't see any, I don't know if they also have rainbow flags or BLM signatures, but I can't tell because looks like it's a mashup here. But it says, all right, this is an interesting parallel here with Breitbart. Before Breitbart crossed the line and started spouting blatant misinformation, we had long discussions about whether we should include them on our exclusion lists. As much as we hated their ideology and BS, we couldn't really justify blocking them for misguided opinion. We watched them very carefully, and it didn't take long for them to cross the line, but it was useful academic lessons. Now, I don't know the Daily Wire that well, but I would imagine that most of our clients wouldn't want to be on either side of politically divisive content, so they probably blocked them anyway. Is that true, Joe? But he should watch them carefully to make sure they don't stoop below the GARM floor. If we block the Daily Wire, why shouldn't we be blocking Fox News? All right, cut them all out. So it's just, it's conglomerates. They're creating their own money networks. for the purpose of censoring political information. Now, the left will tell you all day long, it's private. They're allowed to do it. It's their own associations. If they want to do those things, it's free. They're free to do it. Then you ask them about democracy. And they say, well, it's a part of democracy. They are allowed to, they're allowed to do it that way. You say, okay, that's interesting. So to classify news as legitimate, GARM approached organizations such as the Global Disinformation Index, and then they started to rank everybody against it. GDI claims it's neutral and independent, but docs reviewed by the committee show how GDI consistently disfavored conservative sites. We know how the pendulum swings on these things. Always goes back and forth. So if they're going to be doing this right now, there's going to be a reaction and equal and opposite force coming the other way. And Elon bought X, and we're watching. I think he's now agreeing with some GARM stuff, but we'll see. I think that there is a credibility crisis with every one of these entities right now. So GDI lists publications like BuzzFeed News and Huffington Post as least risky. Really? BuzzFeed's not even around anymore, as far as I know. And the New York Post and the Daily Wire is the riskiest. The New York Post was absolutely breaking news with Hunter Biden, right? It was the most accurate magazine, newspaper in the entire country at the time. So all of these have lost their credibility. Washington Post is failing. New York Times is failing. They're all literally failing. And many of these others are, doing pretty well. So they call it risky. They call it the least risky. State-approved media is okay. Non-approved media is not okay. So this path and bias driven by GARM has put specific news entities out of business. What did Unilever flag to discuss? They flagged a video where an influencer gave Unilever a negative review of the shampoo. So GARM now is going after reviewers, going after influencers, right? It's a media cabal. Same thing the left always screams about. We want power of the people. No, you don't. You want everybody to just fall in line. So what happens when GARM and its members are able to influence everybody? It reduces competition. And so to learn more, you should read some of the report, which we'll do right now. The House Judiciary Committee releases GARM's Harm, how the world's biggest brands seek to control online speech and censor political operations and campaigns. This was released by the Judiciary Committee July 10th. Here's the executive summary on it. They say, Judiciary has jurisdiction to protect trade and commerce, unlawful restraints and monopolies. And so we're doing that right now. We are looking at the World Federation of Advertisers, and specifically its GARM initiative, a global alliance for responsible media. We know the background here. Large corporations and agencies all create that disgusting, incestuous web of collusion. And what that does is give them tremendous market power. WFA members represent 90% of global advertising spend, $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. GARM includes every major advertising agency, holding company in its ranks, including the world's largest media buying agency, Group M, on its steer team, right? So those emails were back and forth between Group M, the people who are operating that, moving that $1 trillion budget around. So much power there. GARM's steer team with the BLM and the Rainbows, which acts as a board of directors and is also closely involved in GARM's day-to-day operations, includes 4 large corporations, Unilever, Mars, Diageo, and Procter & Gamble. Billions spent out. Now, they don't engage in politics, of course not. They just don't want their ads next to Trump's ads. That's all. So take Trump's ads down. GARM reports that the executive committee, which must endorse GARM's work, includes tons of other people. AB InBev, L'Oreal, Nestle, IBM, many more. GARM calls itself an industry-first effort that unites a bunch of people, marketers and media agencies. And we want to reduce the availability and the monetization of harmful content online. They say they've got transparent policies, and they don't support certain content. And so GARM admits that content monetization and moderation are linked. In other words, their monetization work impacts what appears online. So GARM has this convoluted explanation for what they do, but we all know if stuff is not monetized, it doesn't get transmitted. Okay, YouTube has no incentive to show you a non-monetized video. They don't make any money on it. It just costs them server space. There are server bandwidth. they've got a lot more incentive to feed you a bunch of ads or a bunch of videos that have ads in front of them so they can make a cut off that. And if they demonetize the content, they just kind of, it's on YouTube, send it to your friends and maybe they'll watch it. But for an organization reliant on this stuff, GARM appears to have anti-democratic views of fundamental American freedoms. Yeah, they don't care at all. GARM's leader and co-founder, Rob, has expressed frustration with an extreme global interpretation of the U.S. Constitution and complained about using principles for governance and applying law from 230 years ago, made by white men, this guy says. Rob Rakowitz, who's doing a disservice to that name, Rob, says, it was written 230 years ago by white men. With his worldview, GARM pushed what it called uncommon collaboration to rise above individual commercial interest. That sounds like just something that comes right out of Berkeley. Section 1 of the Sherman Act says unreasonable restraints of trade is illegal, and that's what these people are doing. They are boycotting and committing coordinated actions that harm consumers. For example, here's what they've done. Twitter and Elon Musk. According to one GARM member, GARM recommended that its members stop all paid advertisement for Elon. Their documents show that they were trying to arrange a meeting, talk about extensive debriefing and discussion. They bragged and put a cowboy hat on emoji, saying we nuked Twitter's revenue by 80%. They went after Joe Rogan. At the urging of its members, GARM and its steer team threatened Spotify. Rogan stated in an opinion, he said that young, healthy people don't need the jab. That was Rogan's opinion. Meltdown. GARM even admitted it was acting outside of its scope, said, well, they explained that brand safety is somewhat separate on Spotify versus a Facebook newsfeed, because brands aren't being slotted into the podcast. In other words, companies could choose, do you want to be on the podcast or not? Right? The idea with Facebook is, you're on Facebook, you're going around, you're seeing your friend, oh, that guy's a jerk. Okay, she got married. Well, he looks terrible, whatever. Going through your stuff, they show a Unilever ad. You're going through your stuff. Okay, hey, buy our crappy dish soap, whatever. Go through the thing, then a Trump ad comes up. And Unilever says, well, we don't want to be placed next to a Trump ad, and we don't know what's coming up here in this Rolodex with a bunch of other ads. Okay, buy this widget. You just talk to your friend about that vacuum cleaner. Boom, it's right there. How does it know? I don't know. But it's there. So they don't want to be involved in the Rolodex. Well, we do know because they're listening. So it pops up. But on a podcast, it's not happening that way. You're going to be on Joe Rogan's podcast, so just put yourself on it or don't. So GARM had no reason to even interfere with Spotify at all, except they just are little censors who hate other dissenting views. GARM even admitted, they said, well, there are some antitrust implications here if we get caught. Rakowitz told one GARM member, yeah, we can't publicly advise all clients on what to do X. We can't tell them to do that. That gets us into hot water because we're anti-competitive and collusive. So we have to hide our collusion, which they did. To get around this problem, Mr. Rakowitz offered to help brands formulate a point of view one-to-one. So I can't tell everybody what to do. You understand? I can't send a blanket email in our newsletter that says, stop advertising on X because I hate Elon or whatever. Stop advertising with Spotify because we hate Elon. He can't send that to everybody. But he can talk to them one-on-one, and he can just individually go to the biggest top 50 and just say, hey, no more Spotify, no more Facebook, no more this. In doing so, even as Mr. Rakowitz mistook his trade association members with clients, they weren't clients, such a coordinated action implicates antitrust law. And we also know they were targeting Fox News, Daily Wire, Breitbart News. One GARM steer team member candidly wrote that although we hated the ideology and the BS of Breitbart, we can't really block them. GARM pushes its members to use news rankings like the Global Disinformation Index, which I hope we're high on that list. I hope we're doing well. And disproportionately labels right-of-center news outlets as so-called misinformation. GARM and its steer team even participated in efforts to label a social media advertisement by Trump, by the campaign, as misinfo. Get his campaign ads off. It's like going to someone's house and ripping their yard sign out. When Facebook would not label the advertisement as misinformation, Mr. Rakowitz told a colleague that it was honestly reprehensible. A GARM steer team member expressed concern how Musk was exposing the truth regarding how Twitter was used to censor Hunter Biden. And obviously, that was an overtly partisan take. I can't believe Musk is saying that. GARM's plans for the future includes pushing its framework into artificial intelligence so that they can just censor you immediately. GARM's partners are developing AI tools which will integrate their standards seamlessly right into the platform. Your content just never goes anywhere. They'll just shadow ban it. It'll just post it. You get a couple maybe fake bot posts or whatever, likes, engagement, but it's dead. Such an automated censorship effort could result in the demonetization of any views that this cartel dislikes. All this power in one entity is dangerous, and we know what that guy believes. You can see his email signature. The extent to which GARM has organized its trade association and coordinates actions that rob customers is likely illegal. Wonder if the DOJ will look into it. The information uncovered to date shows there is collusive conduct. They are demonetizing disfavored content. The committee will continue its investigation into companies that participate in this conduct and talk about legislative reforms. And we hope that they do. So what you'll notice is there was a lot of questions about that today. Ben Shapiro from the Daily Wire was there doing a nice job with his magic water bottle. And, it got moved. Amazing. It got moved. Somebody moved it. I'm sorry. He got done with his magic trick. So Swalwell, Stinky Eric Swalwell, who made Bang Bang with Fang Fang, a Chinese spy, was trying to talk to Ben Shapiro and trying to get him on a little gotcha moment. Didn't do such a good job because he doesn't have a brain either.
You probably want less bureaucracy, right?
I do.
I want less bureaucracy. You want more efficiency?
I do.
I want more efficiency. You want taxpayer money spent wisely?
I do. Congrats on becoming a Republican.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents would be proud. Mass deportations, it calls for that. Do you support that part?
I support the deportation of any illegal immigrant who's in the United States who is not of benefit to the generalized American public.
So if they're picking agriculture that puts food on the tables of everyday Americans, they've never committed a crime inside the United States, they didn't come across with documents, should they be deported?
If they have not paid taxes and if their draw on the taxpayer benefits are larger than the contribution they are making to the economy, or if they're involved in criminal activity, they should be deported.
How do we measure that?
The same way that the IRS measures my income every year. It seems like if the IRS can track down every aspect of every receipt that I've ever submitted, and
So
they can do so for hundreds of millions of other Americans, they can do that for illegal immigrants as well, except for the fact that no one knows how many are in the country thanks to this administration.
So you would be cool with creating a system where they could pay those taxes if they wanted to and then stay and work and put food on our table?
It depends on how long it would take for them to pay the taxes, and they would also have to go presumably to the back of the line, although I'm not sure why I'm testifying about immigration policy at this point.
We're here on...
How about banning the abortion pill? That's part of Project 2025. Do you support that part?
All Project 2025
I think that that's a
stuff.
state-by-state issue on a personal level. I'm
just asking you.
Sure, I'm a fully pro-life person, which means that I'm not in favor of the distribution of the abortion pill.
Banning same-sex marriage. What about that part?
I am in favor of traditional marriage between a man and a woman, and I am perfectly fine with anyone having any sort of voluntary sexual arrangement they seek. That's a different thing from whether the...
I guess it's like an Eric Swalwell podcast or something. It's like Ben Shapiro is just here. Is he like running for a judicial nomination or something? What's going on here? Why are we getting an interview? Eric Stinky Swalwell, just bring him on your podcast. Talk to Ted Cruz. He'll show you how to set one up.
Government should attach benefits to that personal relationship.
But you think it's a sin to have same-sex marriage?
I mean, I'm confused. Are you asking me as a religious Jew what I think about biblically?
I'm just asking, is it a sin to be gay?
Is it a sin to be gay? I mean, how long do we have here? 2 minutes? I mean, if the basic idea is that sexual orientation is up for government regulation, I'm not in favor of the government regulating the private consenting sexual activity of adults. That is a different thing, once again, from whether the government ought to engage in actual benefits for particular sexual arrangements that adults make.
But again, just you to me, is it a sin or not?
From a religious Jewish perspective, orientation is not a sin, but activity is. That's also the same perspective of most major religions, so far as I'm aware.
Okay. And
what else do you want to know?
Cutting Social Security. Do you support that part of 2025?
I'm not sure what Project 2025's position on Social Security is. I'm in favor of the restructuring of Social Security along the lines of privatization and lowering and increasing the retirement age, because you, as well as every other congressperson, knows Social Security is going to go bankrupt, and yet everyone seems to have an interest in lying
Ask
about it for
another
the next
question,
decade and a
Eric.
half
You
until
don't
we
even
have to
know
take
what to
austerity
say
measures
next.
or radically increase
Yeah.
inflation or taxes.
And bans against books about slavery. Do you support that part?
Go ahead.
Why would I possibly be in favor of bans about books about slavery? That would be
Good answer.
absolutely ridiculous. What I am in favor of is the idea that school libraries should be able to make decisions along the lines of what exactly is appropriate for, say, a 7th grader and whether they ought to be treated to cartoons and genderqueer. That's not quite the same thing.
And just because we found some receipts, you did say, I think homosexual activity is a sin.
Yes, I'm a religious
I'm
Jew,
sure
that's true.
there's a genetic component
You
to
found me
sexual
out.
orientation.
Busted.
But the view of all religious people I know
Ben
has always
Shapiro,
been that sexual
busted,
behavior is
buddy
something
boy.
that is up to you. And you said, I may have a desire to sleep with many women, but I do not.
I agree with
Good
me.
reading.
Yes, that's
Good
true.
reading there, Eric.
Congratulations
Well done.
on your, I'm sure it's very hard to restrain yourself. Mr. Chairman, I just
Merrick.
want to shift to Alvin Bragg. He was supposed to be here
Sure.
this week, and he's not coming.
Yeah,
And
why?
Hunter Biden was supposed to testify. Now he's not testifying. We were supposed to have votes on articles of impeachment, and we didn't. And again, we're just wondering, you guys write great press releases, but the payoff seems to never come. And so I guess we will keep waiting, and we'll do hearings like this. And finally, Chairman, you cannot yell fire in a crowded theater, and that's a restriction on speech, as you have recognized before. But you can yell theater in a crowded fire, and you all can continue to do that all you want, and we'll just waste the American people's time.
Gentleman's time has expired, and I remind
Okay,
him
so
of the
Ben
first rule.
Shapiro treated him like his little sister. Well, what about that? And this is how this works, and that's how that works, and how that works. And any other questions, idiots? Why are we even talking about this? If you want me to come on your podcast, Eric, I'll come on your podcast. All right, just relax. So shout out to Ben Shapiro for making Eric Stinky Bang Bang Swalwell, who made Bang Bang with Fang Fang a Chinese spy, who should have asked about that as well. Should have asked what his opinion was on his relationship with the CCP deep state. So that is what happened over there from Ben Shapiro, having some fun. And Jim Jordan also was there testifying. Here is a little bit of Jim Jordan and asking questions, rather, highlighting what was going on behind the scenes. So asking about GARM members, saying, why are you trying to watch them very carefully?
The same question. You're trying to tell me. I asked what uncommon collaboration is, which is from your working charter, GARM's working charter. And Mr. Rakowitz defines uncommon collaboration as rising above individual commercial interests. I thought a company was focused on their commercial interests of their individual company.
Sir, GARM is used for a framework and definitions to try and make order of something that quite honestly had no order to begin with.
Well, here's what GARM did. Here's what it looks like, I think, in practice. Can we put up let's put up the email from Mr. Montgomery, who works for Mr. Jewell's company. Email about Breitbart, the Daily Wire, and Fox News. There's an interesting parallel here with Breitbart. As much as we hated their ideology and blank, we couldn't really justify blocking them for misguided opinion. I don't know the Daily Wire that well, but we should watch them carefully too. If we block the Daily Wire, why wouldn't we block Fox News? That seems to me like uncommon collaboration in practice, focused on 3 conservative news outlets. Do you see it that way, Mr. Jewell?
Respectfully, no, sir.
Well, how do you see it then?
I see this as somebody from our brand safety team, and he's asking questions about what sort of standards of service they have and trying to figure out what is happening with that particular publisher.
Let's
Why
put
do
up
you
the
pick
next one.
them?
Let's show some more uncommon collaboration in practice.
Did he do it for a bunch of
the next
lefty
one.
groups?
This is the one about Twitter. Based on your recommendations, we have stopped all paid advertisement because the platform was rather unsafe. This is their opinion due to Elon Musk's decision to firing lotteries. This is when Elon Musk bought Twitter. But it's an important platform for us to reach our audience, so we would like to consider going back. Looks like this was a coordinated, uncommon collaboration to boycott Twitter. But this company wants to go back because they make a lot of money when they're advertising on Twitter.
All right, Jim Jordan, lacing into that. No, it's just regular. That's just regular business that we do there. Just trying to make sure that there's brand safety for all of our advertising clients. And we just happen to be targeting a bunch of Republicans and Republican or conservative right-leaning side of this entire media landscape. They think that only one side should be under scrutiny while the other side can do whatever they want. And conveniently, it's all supporting their political ideology. So we're going to continue to cover this. We'll see if Republicans do anything about it. And they should. They should investigate these people for collusion, antitrust, and all of the rest of the election rigging that they're responsible for. And we'll continue to cover it here, my friends. And so thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for liking this video, because we have to deal with GARM. We have to deal with social media companies who are saying we are not authoritative. That's their own words. Non-authoritative sources get suppressed here. So the real way that we reach new people, the real way we share what's happening here is by your shares, by your invitations, and telling people you know and love about this channel. And so we very much appreciate that. Thanks for doing that. We got a great segment coming up next. It's going to be talking about the latest in Hollywood, because Biden is losing Hollywood. And so we're jumping into that segment next. We'll see you over there and back here on the next one. All right. And so, as you can see, we are going to make an audible. We're kind of going out of order here because the contempt proceeding is still underway in Congress right now. It's 6:52 p.m. and we're getting ready for a vote. So we'll do the third segment, then we'll come back on the second segment and we'll see what is cooking it. But this one is wild as well. Joe Biden losing Hollywood. George Clooney, you remember him from that old Batman movie. He is now saying it's time for Joe to go. And this is curious. A lot of people, again, really wondering why George Clooney's voice matters at all. But we think it's because he's good friends with Barack Obama, who is now kind of tapping him on the shoulder and saying, go out there and get rid of him. And so we're going to read through the op-ed. It's quite short. David Axelrod, the former Obama guy, says it's absolutely devastating. So there's one line in there that is a kill shot from Clooney. And so we'll see what Axelrod says about it. But we've also got Michael Douglas, who has changed his opinion pretty quickly. About 3-4 months ago, he was saying Biden's sharp as a tack. We think he's great, doing that little routine. And then now he was on The View saying, well, George Clooney's right. We might actually have to ditch Joe Biden because he's not doing so good. Rob Reiner's agreeing with this. We got reaction from Tim Kaine, a senator, says Joe Biden's going to do the right thing. And we're asking ourselves, what is Joe Biden going to do at his next big boy press conference? We're excited for that one. Maybe he'll finish the whole thing. So we'll talk about all of that coming up. But the big story, of course, is George Clooney's op-ed. And many wondering why it matters. And just consider it a proxy for Barack Obama. But they tell us, George Clooney says, I love Joe Biden, but we need a new nominee. Womp womp. Says, I'm a lifelong Democrat. We know. I make no apologies for that. You should. I'm proud of what my party represents and what it stands for. Why? As part of my participation in the democratic process and support of my chosen candidate, I've led some of the biggest fundraisers in my party's history. Obama, thanks. Clinton, thanks. Biden, thanks. And last month, even, he was here. Clooney co-hosted the single largest fundraiser supporting any Democratic candidate ever for Biden's reelection. And I say all this only to express how much I love Joe. I love Joe Biden. As a senator, as a vice president, I consider him a friend. I believe in him. But the one battle that he cannot win is the fight against time. Oh. None of us can. George Clooney's like, I get so many shots in my face, I'm trying hard. It's devastating to say it. This is the kill shot. But the Joe Biden I was dealing with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the Joe big effing deal Biden of 2010. Nope. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate. Joe, knifed right in the back. So he is like this all the time. Shocker. I know, we know. We've known this for a long time. It's already been baked into the equation. So we got it. But he's saying it was not an aberration. This is the norm. So, sorry. Was he tired? Yes. A cold? Maybe. But our party leaders need to stop telling us that 51 million people didn't see what we just saw, says George. All right, get the Oscar ready. He says, we're all so terrified by the prospect of a second Trump term that we've opted to ignore every warning sign or lie openly to your people. The George Stephanopoulos interview only reinforced what we saw the week before. As Democrats, Clooney says, we collectively hold our breath or turn down the volume whenever we see the president. Could you imagine? Joe Biden, like, who we respect, walk off Air Force One or walk back to the mic or answer an unscripted question. Everyone's like, holy crap. Is it fair to point these things out? It has to be. This is about age. Nothing more. But also nothing that can be reversed. We are not going to win in November with this president. On top of that, we won't win the House. We're going to lose the Senate. Man, he's freaked out. This isn't only my opinion, Clooney says. This is the opinion of every senator and Congress member and governor that I've spoken with in private. Every single one, irrespective of what he or she is saying publicly. And this is wild. So this tells you, I mean, this is Clooney calling them liars, like they are cowards and liars. It's so pathetic. This fissure is enlightening the truth of all of this. Where is, who are these people? George, because apparently you're talking to a lot of them, and I don't know why they're all spending their time talking to you. Don't they have business to attend to in the Senate, for crying out loud? They're all calling George Clooney. Like, what should we do? I don't know. Let's call Hollywood. Idiots. Gosh, no wonder our country's so friggin' broken. Who cares what Clooney thinks? As I said, the idea is it's Obama. So Clooney's out, and he's now the one, he's outside of politics, right? He's not in it, so he can come out and say it. And he'll be thrown up on everybody's shoulders at the next George Conway cocktail party. But all of these senators are just cowards, and they're just pathetic. They have no integrity at all. So you're just going to sit behind closed doors. You're going to tell George Clooney the truth, and you're going to lie to your constituents. It's Democrats, man. It's like burning the whole place down. He's calling them like pathetic liars and cowards without calling them that. That's the takeaway. We love to talk about how the Republican Party has ceded all power and all the traits that made it so formidable with Ronald Reagan and Bush to a single person who seeks to hold on to the presidency. Yet most of our members of Congress are opting to wait and see if the dam breaks because they're cowards. But the dam has broken. We can put our heads in the sand and pray for a miracle, or we can speak for the truth. Now, it's disingenuous at best to argue that Democrats have already spoken with their vote. No, it's not. They did vote. They knew. Okay, look. They knew, or they should have known. The fact that they believed Jake Tapper is their problem, right? Now, that's for them to figure out. But they knew. I think that there's a huge constituency who says, okay, yeah, we saw what we see. We know what we saw. We believe the administration's perspective. And it's not George Clooney's prerogative to tell them that they're idiots. They did speak with their vote. They did. And you're going to presume that they didn't have full information? Why? Because you got duped? Doesn't mean they got duped. And therefore, the nomination is settled when we just received this new and upsetting information. It's not new, moron. That's the problem. It's not new at all. All of us knew it. So the fact that you couldn't figure it out, the fact that you trusted Jake Tapper doesn't mean you get to disenfranchise and now smear your incompetence onto the rest of the party. The fact that you couldn't see it. We think Republicans should abandon their nominee now that he's been convicted of 34 felonies. Okay, well, we don't. So mind your own business. That's new and upsetting information as well. But we're not calling for a change because we know that your felonies are rigged. Top Democrats, Schumer, Jeffries, Nancy, like what? That's a non sequitur. It has nothing to do with Joe at all. But Nancy Pelosi, all senators and representatives who face losing in November need to ask this president to voluntarily step aside. This is like panic button, man. All of the scary stories that we're being told about what would happen next are simply not true, says political scientist George Clooney. In all likelihood, the money in the Biden-Harris coffers could go to help elect the presidential ticket and other Democrats. Yeah, maybe if Joe Biden wants it to go to them. But it wouldn't go to them individually. It could go to other PACs. And basically, he could spend that money in his PAC, but it cannot go to another individual candidate. It goes to Biden or to Harris, otherwise to PACs. And Joe Biden has a lot of control and say over that. So yeah, in all likelihood, maybe, depends, if Joe decided to do that, the new nominee wouldn't be left off the ballots in Ohio. We Democrats have a very exciting bench. We don't anoint leaders or fall sway to a cult of personality. Did you just hear yourself, dummy? You just explained that you have this new and upsetting information. Where did it come from? Because you just woke up from a cult of personality. You literally just woke up from a big lie of Joe Biden's competency. We vote for a president. We can easily foresee a group of several strong Democrats stepping forward to stand and tell us why they're best qualified to lead this country. So let's hear from Wes Moore and Kamala Harris and Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom and Andy Beshear and J.B. Pritzker and others. Let's agree that the candidates will not attack one another. Well, this is racist, by the way. Who are all these other white... What's this white dude doing jumping in front of Kamala Harris? Are you nuts? She's the vice president. Gavin Newsom, the governor of failed California? No thanks. If you're a Democrat, you should get out of here. Let's agree that and I don't know why George Clooney, same guy basically at this point, says let's agree that the candidates not attack each other. Are you kidding? So would it be messy? Yes, but democracy's messy. But would it enliven our party and wake up voters who have no energy at all? This is a big problem too. The enthusiasm gap is going to be just in the toilet. So bad. And they're going to have to make that up somehow. So be nervous about that because they're going to try. Long before the June debate had already checked out, it sure would. The short ramp to the election day would benefit for us because there would be no scrutiny at all, right? They could just squeeze someone in. Don't look at them. Just shove them in there. Here, eat it, America. Here, eat Whitmer. Here, eat some more. It would give us the chance to showcase the future without so much opposition research and negative campaigning, right? It's the old bait and switch, literally. He's talking about it. We're just going to bait and switch this thing. We're going to just shove him in at the convention. Nobody will know who the hell this person is. That comes with these ridiculously long and expensive election seasons. This can be an exciting time for democracy, as we've just seen with the 200 or so French candidates who stepped aside and installed communists in France, because apparently their people love to be raped. But Joe Biden is a hero. He saved democracy in 2020. We need him to do it again in 2024. Isn't that nice? So George Clooney, political scholar and scientist, actor, director, film producer, is going to write the course of America. And many people are, I think, reading this for what it is, which is just it's a figurehead, a placeholder to say the things that a bunch of the cowardly Democrats don't have the courage to say. So they just put it on some actor. And then they can all just, let's see what happens. It's a floater. They're just floating it out there to see what happens. But David Axelrod, who works for Obama, used to work for Obama, probably still does, is out saying this was a devastating take from Clooney because Clooney is confirming what we've all known. Joe Biden's been this way for a decade.
Chaotic. But here's what a top Biden fundraiser and longtime supporter, George Clooney, said about that in his op-ed this morning. Would it be messy? Yes, democracy is messy, but would it enliven our party and wake up voters who, long before the June debate, had already checked out? It sure would. The short ramp to Election Day would be a benefit for us, not a danger. John Favreau and David Axelrod are back with me. Ax, what do you think about that argument?
Look, I think there's merit to it. You know, sometimes this is all a matter of risk assessment. There's risk associated with everything. The question is whether the risk of the status quo eclipses the risk of trying something else. And I think we've reached the point where many have come to that conclusion. But the thing about
I think it's a good point. We talked about that on our Membos Only stream this morning. Joe Biden is probably going to lose. Let's say like 90% going to lose. If he sticks through it, he's going to lose. And he might lose small, but he'll probably lose, is the theory. So you could go with someone else who might lose by a lot, who might lose by like 50%, but also might maybe win by like 10%. So it's a much bigger swing with some other candidate. The variability, the volatility is a lot higher. But if you're going to lose anyways, why not, right? You need a Hail Mary candidate, essentially, at this point. And so who could that be? I think they're trying to grapple with who that candidate actually is.
Piece, Dana, that I thought was particularly impactful was Clooney, who just hosted a fundraiser, a major fundraiser
Like
for the
3 weeks
president
ago.
a few weeks ago in California, said you can't win the battle against time. None of us can. It's devastating to say, but Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago. The fundraiser was not the Joe Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate.
Rough.
That is devastating. That's devastating.
Yeah, and that's
And it's what people fear.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to ask John about, because, John, you were at that fundraiser as well. I don't know if you spent as much time with President Biden as George Clooney did, since he was one of the hosts. But that, I'm totally with you, David. That quote was like, wow.
I mean, it was not surprising to any of us who were at the fundraiser.
What? This guy is a podcast host, Pod Save America. John Favreau, he says, this is not surprising to any of us who were all there 3 weeks ago. Why didn't you guys say anything about it? Why didn't you talk about it on your podcast?
I was there. Clooney was exactly right. And every single person I talked to at the fundraiser thought the same thing, except for the people working for Joe Biden, or at least they didn't say that. But I remember my wife, Emily, turned to me after the fundraiser and said, what are we going to do? I mean, and I said, well, there's a debate in a week. Either he'll do well in the debate, and we'll think, well, he was just tired because he flew all the way back from Europe, and that'll be that. Or he'll be like this at the debate, and then the whole country will be talking about it. And so here we are.
Wow. Chaotic.
Yeah, right. Hopefully they pump him up full of methamphetamines is what they were saying. Oh, they'll just pump him up. They'll just give him a couple jabs and we'll limp this thing through. That's what they were hoping. He didn't say that, but that's what they were hoping. They're all sitting there at the thing going, holy crap, this guy's gone. He's fried. All of them, right? All of us were looking at each other going, this is our president. What the hell? But if they could have duped him, if he would not have had a bad debate, if Joe Biden would have pulled it off with his meth and crack or whatever they're shoving into him, then none of it would have come out. He wouldn't have come out and shared any of that. Again, he has to buy back his credibility. They knew for a long time. They knew Joe Biden was gone, but they were trying to dupe everybody and just, no, he's fine. Oh, it's big fiction. Trust us. Liars, liars, liars. So we now know that they're being called out on this, or at least we're calling them out on it. Here's old Michael Douglas. You remember him. He has done some good films and been in some good stuff, but he was on this interview with Fareed Zakaria, who I think got nuked from CNN some time ago. Or maybe he's still on there. I don't know. But here is what he was talking about with Michael Douglas. This is old Michael Douglas. And just to be clear on the timing on this was posted April 21st, 2024 from Fareed's account. So probably recorded around that time. And this was around the time of these fundraisers, right? All this stuff is happening. So I don't know if Michael Douglas was there or not, but he is reporting on Joe Biden. Questions come up about his competency. Hey, Michael, any thoughts?
Notoriety, who is well known around everything. And I remember saying, you sure you're not looking for a kamikaze pilot?
So this is...
I think about that. Field, choose somebody else. How do you think about that?
Well, I think that I walk a little similar to him.
Are you one of those people who wished he had bowed out, let the field choose somebody else? How do you think about that?
Well, I think that I walk a little similar to him, and the people that I've talked to and everybody that I have say he's as sharp as a tack. He's fine. We all have an issue with memories. As we get older, we forget names, something. He's overcome a stutter in his life, and sometimes he might. But let's just say that his entire cabinet, including his vice president, everybody in his cabinet, would be more than happy to work with him again in the next term. I cannot say that about the other candidate running, because nobody in his cabinet from 2016 wants to be involved with him.
Do you think when everyone says, yeah, he's okay now, but what's it going to be like the next 4 or 5 years? But you're going to work for the next 4 or 5 years. You're not retiring.
Well, I'm not. However, I will say we did Franklin in 2022, and after 165
Wait, he's not going to work? Oh, he's like, no, actually not at all.
days of shooting for 7 months. I haven't worked since. So I took 23 off, and we're going into 24, and I must say I'm enjoying the time off. And I think he'll be fine. Thank you very much. This is probably the most important election of my lifetime.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go through it. Mock democracy. Okay. Well, what happened now? Michael Douglas fast forwards. He sees one Joe Biden debate. And he's like, oh, crap. They were lying to me. Now he comes back out. And he says, yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about all this. Shows up on The View. Longtime Biden supporters says now George Clooney has a valid point. Joe Biden has dementia, probably needs to go. All right. That's a pretty quick shift. What happened there? It's like 3 months went by there, Michael.
Supporter. And we've been watching the news this week. It's a little bit disheartening. You even hosted a fundraiser at your home in April, right?
I did.
So what do you think of his debate performance? And do you agree with calls for him to step aside? Even Nancy Pelosi seems on the fence now about him stepping aside.
I know, this is such a tough one. I adore the guy. 50 years of public service.
He's a lovely man.
He's been a wonderful guy. And this just happens to be one of these elections that is just so crucial.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. I don't worry necessarily today or tomorrow, but a year down the line, I worry. I am concerned. And so I'd like maybe to go back and forth. I'm looking at some of our politicians who spoke about Biden dropping out last week, and then all of a sudden this week now they're hedging their bets.
Because he's digging his heels in.
Yeah, he dug his heels in. Well, we need courage. We just generally need...
Like Joe's doing. He's standing up against George Clooney. And anybody who is an ageist and an ableist should be ashamed of themselves for trying to show him the exit.
Strength and courage on side of both parties. And the doc tries to be as bipartisan as possible. Not pointing the finger necessarily.
Arthur Brooks was in it, who's fabulous. I do want to mention George Clooney just came out with an op-ed calling for Biden to step aside, saying the stakes are too high for future generations. Would you like to respond to that?
Well, I think it's a valid point. I mean, I'm deeply concerned. I mean, especially it's difficult because the Democrats have a big bench. I mean, they've got a lot of heavy hitters.
A lot of talent there.
A lot of talent.
They're well known. People have to catch up. They only have a few months to catch up.
And I do worry with the debate, the difficulty with the debate. I mean, it was relatively simple. I mean, first of all, they should have just told the president to stand up, put a little makeup on him, for the debate, which should help him. And then where to look.
And call the other guy a convicted felon.
And call the other guy, and just don't deal with all your facts. Just deal with his lies.
Just say you're in love.
Michael, that's great advice, but you have to have a brain that works to do those things, to follow instructions. Look over here and say these words. It's complicated, man. You gotta have a brain first.
Liar. That's a lie. That's another lie. And a lie.
And when he does that, everybody says you're not doing that. You can't win in this game. I really feel bad for him.
Yes, you can. You just have to have a brain, for crying out loud. It's a debate. There's been a ton of them. All right? Trump's not the first politician who's been accused of lying on a debate stage. Are you nuts? These people are so pathetic. They can't even someone should do something about this. Joe Biden, he was on the debate stage. He had as much time as Trump did. Weirdos. What do you guys want? It's like equal time? You got it. All right. So anyways, that is over from The View. You can see they are throwing Joe Biden out. Rob Reiner, big Hollywood, whatever, just big in Hollywood, says, my friend George Clooney has clearly expressed what many of us have been saying. Really, Rob? Really? What were you saying a week ago, or 2 weeks ago before the debate? Not this. We love and respect Joe Biden. We acknowledge all he's done for the country, but democracy's facing an existential threat. Now it's from Joe, I guess, and Trump. We need someone younger to fight back. Joe Biden must step aside. And some people who are Democrats, like this senator, think he's going to do it. They think Joe Biden is going to be patriotic and step aside for the good of America. Here is Senator Tim Kaine, who ran with Hillary Clinton before Trump beat the crap out of them. Here is what he said about this.
I have complete confidence that Joe Biden will do the patriotic thing for the country, and he's going to make that decision. He's never disappointed me. He's always put patriotism and the country ahead of himself, and I'm going to respect the decision that he makes.
All right, so that's from Tim Kaine, and he's saying that complete confidence that Biden will do the patriotic thing for the country. We'll see if he does. I sure hope he doesn't, because I think Joe Biden is doing the patriotic thing right now, and he's doing what the voters have asked him to do. He's the Democratic nominee, and we support him. Now, Joe Biden will come out. He's got a big boy press conference that will be coming up, and we're curious about what it's going to entail. Apparently, it's not going to be that long, so not a real big boy one, but just kind of like maybe a little big boy one. But here is what John Kirby, who is now shilling for Joe, has to say.
How long is the president's press conference going to be tomorrow?
I don't know how long it will be, but he will be calling
Karine
on
Jean-Pierre
several
said
reporters.
it would be more than 2 and 2, so.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be more than 4 reporters for sure. But how long it's going to take is going to depend on how many questions he gets asked. Because as you know, every reporter likes to ask more than one question, and of course how long he takes to answer them. So I can't give you a time certain, but it'll be a substantial press conference again with multiple reporters and him by himself calling on them.
Wow. Wow. Him by himself calling on him. Wow, I'm really excited to watch our president talk to the press. It's going to be amazing. I wonder if it's going to be anything like this. I don't know what happened in this video feed. I don't know if this was just somebody who had a stroke out or what, but Joe Biden grabs this microphone. This woman doesn't want to let go of it, as you can see. So he grabs it. I think he already made a speech, gave it over to her. He grabs the microphone back. This camera guy's like, cut it, cut it. Everybody's cutting the cables, or something's going on. I don't know what. Or maybe this dude just stroked out. I hope he's okay. But here's the scene there in this campaign event.
I promised I was going to have a candidate that looked like America. And it does. More minorities, more women, more labor. I'm serious. Think about it. That's who we are. That's why we're strong. We're diverse. We're strong. We got to stop looking at it like it's some problem. It's an asset. It's an asset.
That's real, I think. I'm pretty sure. It's from RNC. I don't know what happened to the feed. That's how they cut it. Okay, that's for America right there. Just kill it, man. Just cut it. All right. Guys cutting cords. Joe Biden has the mic. They cut the power to the whole friggin' building. Because Joe Biden got the mic. I don't know. I don't know what happened. RNC Research shared that one. So, okay, we'll see how he does tomorrow. Got some problems over there with their recording situation. So Joe Biden losing Clooney, losing Hollywood, Michael Douglas flipping the script, but Joe Biden will appear for a big boy press conference. We'll see how he does, and we'll have our coverage and analysis on more of the Biden cover-up as his brain continues to dement before our very eyes. Thank you for joining us as we do. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this, my friends. And check out this next video coming up, because we're talking about contempt and the Biden officials now coming under congressional scrutiny for covering up Biden's brain problem. We have Luna and more in Congress happening right now, so we'll talk about that. Hopefully click over and join us there, and we'll see you back here on the next one. But we're not done yet, my friends. So we're seeing what is happening over there. It's live. They're doing general speeches now. All right, we'll see if anything good percolates over there while we go through this. But we do have some nice developments. Officials in the Biden administration now facing congressional scrutiny for their involvement in the Biden health cover-up. He has told us himself he has a problem with his brain. He says he's joking. We know he's not. But now Congress wants answers. What did the doctors know? What did the cabinet know? What are they doing to bubble wrap the Oval Office to make sure that our Parkinson's president doesn't do something traumatic to himself? But this is what's happening. Luna says we have to get to the bottom of the truth of Joe Biden's capacity. One way we can do that is by getting our hands on those Her Report audio tapes that Merrick Garland has been hiding from us for a long time now. Luna is now saying it's time to hold Garland accountable and hold him in inherent contempt. She dropped this press release, said today Congressman Anna Paulina Luna released the following statement. She writes, "It is evident that there is a two-tiered justice system in this country. I, along with an overwhelming number of Americans, am tired of all the talk and no action. Everyday Americans are penalized when they do not comply with subpoenas." Yeah, we know some people are in prison for that, like Steve Bannon and Navarro. "After seeing what has transpired over the last 3 weeks, I am convinced that Merrick Garland is engaged in a cover-up that goes all the way to the White House and involves the House of Representatives, saying inherent contempt is the only mechanism that can be used to force compliance with subpoenas." And the Hur tapes, where Joe Biden sat down with Robert Hur and Robert Hur decided not to charge him with any crimes for his classified documents because he said he was a confused elderly old man. There was no mens rea, no capacity there to charge him. We want to hear those audio tapes because we know the transcripts don't match the audio, obviously. They edited out all the ums, the ers, the repeat lines, so it's not real. But he says it's not just an issue of national security. We have to know what our president is capable of, as it is evident that Joe Biden is impaired, but it's now become a criminal, organized effort to usurp Congress as a co-equal branch of government. It's now shifted from just, oh, Joe Biden maybe not be like at the top of his game, to Joe Biden is really incapacitated, to Joe Biden is allowing him to enable to continue in office and to cover all of the truth up to the rest of the public is criminal. It's a conspiracy. And it is like gross negligence, right? You actually need to do something about it. You just cannot allow a bad situation to continue when you have a legal obligation to avoid that. So Luna is saying, all right, he now has a legal obligation to comply with the subpoena. Congress has a valid reason, much more valid now than ever. I mean, the debate performance, I think, made the necessity of her audio tapes even more compelling. They were in the first place, but now Robert Hur has been vindicated. Joe Biden clearly doesn't have capacity, and so that's why we got to hear the truth on what's on the tapes. Now, she also dropped this, explaining why this is the only way to hold Garland accountable. She wrote, "Congress has the inherent authority to enforce compliance with its mandates as recognized historically. Anderson versus Dunn case established the foundation for broader interpretations of Congress's contempt powers. Says the Debt Collection Improvement Act also allows for garnishing the salaries of non-compliant officials, saying Section 713 of the Financial Services and Appropriations Act also provides the authority to do that. And these measures are necessary." So, I mean, look, if the executive branch can cobble together a fake provision for Jack Smith's enforceability for his office that doesn't even exist, well, then Congress, I think, can interpret these accordingly and hold him in inherent contempt. Now, the truth of the matter is, this will not be anything that results in incarceration. And Miss Luna is confirming that for us. Mike Benz, you know who he is, great analyst on X, says, "Dear Luna, can you please confirm that the $10,000 a day fine must be paid by Garland personally," right? Not the DOJ. The DOJ is not going to pay for it, meaning that we're paying for it. Want to make sure the taxpayers aren't doing this. She says, "I can confirm this. I can also confirm that there was an attempt to block this resolution by calling it a bill of attainder, which is not even applicable here. I have a graphic with a legal argument that she'll deal with later. Bill of attainder is a legislative, you pass a statute, in other words, to punish somebody. This is not that at all. They issued a subpoena. They have inherent contempt power. They're just exercising that under the powers of Congress. So those are the details. Luna was explaining this today and how this is all going to go down. Here is what she shared with us on her X account. Representative Luna.
Voting on two things today. The first thing is the SAVE Act, which will secure federal elections, but we are also going to be voting on inherent contempt. Now, I want to talk about inherent contempt for a moment. Remember, I'm one member, and if you guys could see what I have seen over the last couple of weeks in regards to the orchestrated effort to prevent this from coming to the floor, you guys would be horrified. I do believe that starting in the House, going all the way up to the White House, that there is an absolute cover-up in regards to Joe Biden's cognitive ability and then also to holding Merrick Garland accountable. Remember, Merrick Garland is supposed to be the head law enforcement officer, and he has broken the law, and yet there are people that are generally trying to say that he should get a pass. Why? Regular Americans will go to jail for a lot less than this, and yet he's walking free. So that's my first thing. The second thing is that we've vetted this. There's Supreme Court statute. There is case law that backs up everything that we're doing. So it is well within our constitutional authority. My question Is for those Democrats that are blatantly saying that Joe Biden is not there and cannot run, you should be supporting this. Why are you allowing your party to bully you? Voting on.
They don't want Congress to have the power that they've claimed historically, really. I mean, what happened with the January 6th Select Committee was they had a friendly DOJ. So Congress sent the subpoena to Bannon and to Navarro. They ignored it, or they didn't ignore it. Trump invoked executive privilege, so they responded to it, said we can't comply. So then Cheney sent it over to Garland. Garland enforced it. Same thing has happened. The same parties are in place. We have Congress, we have the DOJ, we have a person who got a subpoena and who's not responding or not complying with it. Except now, the DOJ is not enforcing it against themselves. And Garland is escaping justice. There's a double standard. There are two tiers of justice that happen here. And so Donald Trump came out. He supports Miss Luna. He says, I agree with Anna Paulina Luna and the many House members who think Merrick Garland should be held in inherent contempt for refusing to release the Biden tapes, even though they were subpoenaed. Says the House Republicans should also subpoena Jack Smith and look at his illegal investigation of me immediately. And they should pass the SAVE Act immediately to stop illegals from voting in our election. Says Republicans must get tough about stopping weaponization and cheating. They may just be coming for me in my elections today, but they will soon be coming for all the Republicans very soon if they succeed. From Trump. And so Republicans are digging in. The Oversight Committee also sent this out saying that they were going to be subpoenaing others involved in the cover-up. Chairman James Comer has subpoenaed 3 key White House staff members who are reportedly running interference for Joe Biden. They're doing the president's job for him while he is declining. According to one former Biden aide, these 3 employees have created, quote, a protective bubble around the president, and he is staffed so closely that he's lost all independence, not even a real president. President Biden is clearly unfit for office, they say, yet his staff is hiding the truth, so we want to get to the bottom of it. Here, key White House staff must come forward. And so here's one letter to Ashley Williams. It's about Ashley Williams. Says, pursuant to the president's terrible debate performance, many have voiced concerns. And so we're investigating her responsibilities. We want to know what she does. What does she do in his office? That one's for Ashley Williams, special assistant. This one is for Annie Tomasini, Deputy Chief of Staff. Okay, so not Jeff Zients, but the number 2. And then the last one, they want Annie also to appear for a deposition. And then lastly, they want Anthony Bernal also to appear. He is senior advisor to the First Lady. So Jill Biden's number 2, senior advisor, Deputy Chief of Staff, and Special Assistant to the President and Deputy Director of Oval Office Operations, all getting demands for depositions from Congress. And so we do know that the House is voting on the contempt stuff. And when they have a vote on it and a decision, we'll unpack what it means and what happens next. Of course, we hope you join us as we do. Thank you for subscribing, my friends, wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for liking this video. Thanks for inviting someone to come over here and join us when we go live so that we can attend to this business together. We're looking forward to seeing you and them right back here on the next one. All right, my friends. And so that is it for us on the day. We had a Biden official cover-up segment. They're getting some demands and some things happening in Congress. We'll see where that goes. Biden losing Clooney and Hollywood, not having a good time over there. And an anti-Trump election rigging operation called GARM now was exposed by Congress today, and Ben Shapiro. So it was some fun and some good stuff. But now it is time to hear from you. And if you're looking for some extra stuff, consider becoming a member, because we had a great members-only stream this morning where we talked about George Stephanopoulos and that hidden recording where he admits Joe Biden is done. And Biden wimps out on the golf challenge. We found that clip where Joe Biden challenged Trump to golf. Trump accepted, and then Joe Biden just weaned out on it. So we talked about that in the morning. And of course, we'd love to have you join us as a member at watchingthewatchers.locals.com or on YouTube, another very great place to join us. And so we got some great comments in the house. Thank you, my friends, for supporting us with your amazing contributions on the day. We have this one. Oh, yeah, we know what it is, my friends. It is Hump Day, baby. It's Hump Day. Happy Hump Day. Very nice gift, courtesy of our friend Donut, clipping for us today. Kimmy Joe this morning sent this one in. Said, a dementia patient is holding codes to our nuclear weapons. I know, it's a scary thought, isn't it? Not ideal. Not an ideal situation for us. Hey, what's up? Becky F. says, you always make complicated information easier to understand. Says, appreciate the time you take to keep us all informed. Thank you for that, Becky. Thanks for being a membo. First super chat on a live stream? Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Thanks for that one, Becky. Thanks for being a membo and sending that one in. Very much appreciate it. We got this one from Chubby. Says, Hollywood isn't lost to Biden until De Niro comes out against him. Yeah. De Niro, maybe he'll give another speech from the street again. We'll see. We got, clearly he's the one that matters since they used him during the Trump trial. Also, Bale was the worst Batman strictly because his raspy voice made his lisp even more prominent and ruined any dialogue. I'll see myself out now. I like the Christian Bale Batmans for sure. I thought he was great. But you're right. Swear to me! All that kind of stuff. I know. Hey, what's up, Chubby? Thanks for that. Gloria B. What's up? Gifting one new membo. Welcome aboard, World Peace. Glad to have you as our newest membo. Grab that morning stream from this morning. Gail C. Membo for 7 months, almost to a full baby in the house. Thanks, Gail, for sticking around for so long. Says, Ben was badass. Oh, talking about Ben Affleck. Was he? I maybe need to watch that one again. Hey, what's up, Just Rhonda in the house? 10 new membos coming in from Just Rhonda. Thanks, Just Rhonda. True Seeker Human is here. Robert G's coming in. Magoose, what's up? Sergeant Grinch is here. Cass in the house. Kenani M. Drek Novisky. We got Jennifer saying what's up. Welshie. Janine Shores got one. And Harley Girl D got membos courtesy of Just Rhonda bringing in new membos. And we're glad to have you. Thanks, Rhonda, for being a membo and bringing new membos in. Hey, look at this. Hey, Rob, my mod Hope Arising on YouTube is a big fan. And YouTube me Bo. She runs my online life, and I was hoping you could give her a shout out and make her day. Shout out to Hope Horizon. What's up, Hope Horizon? Sounds like you're very integral into our friend Eddie's life. So this is Eddie Block, you know Eddie, and his real good boy Donnie, short for Donald. So Eddie, of course, we got to meet at the Vegas meetup. It was a ton of fun. Shout out to Hope Rising. We appreciate you helping us out, man. We appreciate you joining us on these tubes. Thanks, Hope Rising, and ultra shout out to Eddie and Hope. What a great picture. Thanks, guys, for sharing that. Make it a beautiful day over there. We got this one from Sheila P. What's up, Sheila? Very nice dono. Thanks for this. Says, it is crazy that those who yell the loudest about protecting our democracy are also those who are trampling all over our civil rights. It truly worries me that so many Americans are falling for the 2 + 2 = 5 logic of the left. Yeah, it is troubling. It's a weird thing. And they're doing it with saliva, salivating out of their mouths, screaming about saving American democracy while they're championing, like people with pitchforks, for criminal prosecutions for the first time in American history. It's like, just zoom out on that, weirdos. Do you understand what you're doing? How come no one else has done this before in American history? Any thoughts? Have you read a history book? Do you think any other presidents did anything illegal? Oh, Trump was the one because of false business records in New York? Okay. So like, if you actually break it down, it's irrational. It's like actually irrational. And they want policies in place that inflate their dollars, that put their lives at risk, that wreck their communities, that it's just a wild scene. But the propaganda is very strong and identity is very powerful. And there's a lack of people having healthy identities in the world. So they just supplement those, or supplant those rather, with these new created and controlled identities that they bundle people into. And then people start using labels, and then they're now basically captured. So yeah, it's a troubling thing. But I do think that people will ultimately realize it. They're going to wake up, 20 years from now. It takes a generation or a couple generations for this stuff to change. But it's like, political science, they talk about politics as a body, as a corpus, as a body politique. And so bodies have births and middle ages and deaths. And same with political systems. What's up? AOC's mind map is here. Very small mind map. It's like 2 nodes. Says there is a prediction floating that if they can't get rid of Biden, the Dems will take him out and try to tie it to MAGA. Yeah, that is a theory. You know who talked about that? Robert Barnes at our meetup in Vegas. One way or another, they will get it done before the end of this month. Man, I hope that's not true. We don't want that to happen at all. That would be a very terrible thing for a million reasons. But yeah, you could easily see that, right? That's why I'm cautious about getting complacent. They could easily do that. It doesn't even actually have to be an assassination. It could be an attempt, and they could blame it on MAGA. Oh! And do the whole thing again. And that might create some energy for them. And then that might cause them to jail Trump or whatever. Hey, what's up, Cowboy Rob? Did you catch the clip of Joe Biden from the NATO summit? I caught it on a veteran biker channel. Joe said something about effing his wife talking to, and about another world leader live on stage. I did see that clip. I think he was saying I was like talking to your wife, and because he has marbles in his mouth and he can't talk, it sounded like I was ing your wife. But he was saying talking, not ing, and you heard it. When I was ing your wife, he was saying I was talking. Well, you just got rid of the ing, the talk. You just delete the talk. Sounds bad. Joe said something about, it was not good. I don't think he actually said that, but I don't know. Did he? Did he with that dude's wife? That'd be crazy. I don't think he has the vigor to do that, is the thing. I don't think he was capable of that. So what's up? Thanks for that, Cowboy Rob. Hey, this one came in from Michelle P. Says, once we have a new administration, the DOJ should go after GARM and all of its members for antitrust practices. If we had a functional country that had an adherence to things like the First Amendment, they'd certainly look into it. Well, I don't think, it's probably staffed with a bunch of ex-DOJ lawyers anyways. Hey, Stop the China Fraud Hustle says, Tara Reade's petition and lawsuit against liar Joe Biden is up to 1,000. Please read and sign change.org Justice for Tara. Did Joey lie or forget? Says Justice for Tara change just doubled in 5 minutes. From Stop the China Fraud Hustle. Hey, what's up, Mike Hayes? Thanks for becoming a membo, my friend. Appreciate that. We're looking forward to seeing you on the membo streams. NY says, we can dispatch with the analysis of GARM and Rob Rakowitz with one fact. Rob Rakowitz describes himself as a competitive cyclist. Tells you all about his honesty. From NY. Hey, Tara Rayner says the SAVE Act has now passed the House. That sounds great. It will die in the Senate, but it will be fun as a wedge issue to see which Democrats avoid it. Cowboy Rob says Ben should have responded to Swalwell with asking about his sex life. Yeah, well, let's talk about yours. How's Fang Fang? Well, what's your opinion on homosexual intercourse? He says, well, it's not much different than what I think about having intercourse with Chinese spies, Eric. You should have. That would have been great. Hey, Glocky. Rep Luna just dropped inherent contempt charges. Dropped it? She dropped it? Is that true? I'm sure it is. Thanks, Glocky. Hey, Finn Contracting says, Judge Engeron's favorite Batman suit was Clooney because they put nipples on the suit. Remember that? They did put nipples on the suit. That was a weird time. Weird times back then. Yeah, there were nipples on there. That's what it looked like. All right. Spud says, the fissure in Hollywood is more painful for the DNC than one would get in their booty. Michelle P. says, Clooney wants Biden out because he wouldn't rescind the comments about the human rights court his wife is on. Wow. Well, hey, good for Clooney, fighting for his wife. He's married? I didn't know that. Hey, Lady Ice, thank you for that, Michelle. Lady Ice says, who is the idiot who thought the big boy meeting was a term that would help his image? Or didn't they get that it was said in irony originally by a reporter? Yeah, it's like a humiliating joke that he said. And then they just took it and ran with it. Wild times. Lady Ice, thanks for that. Knox Bierman says, Happy Wednesday, all. Power is back on at my place in Houston. I'm a happy camper right now. Is it not such a crazy time to be alive? Yeah, did you see this story over from the Babylon Bee? They were reporting on this one. It's a pretty crazy story. Apparently, the White House is denying that a taxidermist visited to talk about stuffing and preserving the president. They say it didn't happen, but we know Kaine, so the likelihood that it happened is probably pretty high. They say it didn't happen, but I'm pretty sure I saw Joe stuffed today in his speech at NATO. So I don't know why they keep trying to make this stuff up. It's obvious. So anyways, thanks for that, Knox. Knox says, Michael Douglas does not sound good. He's slurring. However, he can kind of complete his sentences. Yeah, and he's not working anymore. He's like, I'm done. He's like, I'm way too old for this crap. But Joe Biden's probably fine. Maybe. Stop the China Fraud says, Terror campaign at change.org to hold Biden accountable. Larry says, if Joe refuses to go, I believe that the FBI, the CIA will begin leaking information concerning his finances and maybe even sneak in those old audio tapes. So they're really going to shove him out, man, and they're going to hit it hard. Cliff Norman says, actors read scripts and are artful at pretend games. Critical thinking is not a core competency. James Woods is an outlier. Yeah, James Wood. Yeah, it's like make-believe. It's pretend. It's adult pretend. As fun as movies can be, and I enjoy a nice movie and a nice thing, I don't understand the celebrity culture of these Hollywood superstars, whatever it is. It's like adult make-believe. It's great. They get action. Yeah, wow, great. You choreographed that. That's a great job. Amazing. But the Hollywood culture is wild. And we'll see it on display with this Alec Baldwin trial. See how that one develops. Hey, Sheila the Pooh in the house. Sheila the Pooh. Good to see you, Sheila P. Bringing in 10 new membos. Thank you, Sheila, for doing this again today. Q Essence in the house. The Hurricane is here. Daughter of Issachar in the house. S23 coming in. Will 2023. We got Sir Toenail Cupcakerson. We got Kraugs is here. Lady Stardust. Connor Grifton. 3 is in the house. Many shout outs to Sheila, saying thanks for bringing in our newest of membos. New membos, grab that morning stream, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. We got Cowboy Rob says, 198 Democrats voted to allow illegals to vote. They need them. They need them to vote. Otherwise, they won't win re-election, so obviously. Hey, NY says, I was on a podcast earlier today, and one of the members, who is ex-DOJ, says until contempt is cured, Garland is barred from collecting any federal benefits by statute. Says it's questionable if HIPAA protects doctors in the situation like congressional subpoenas. I do not believe has been litigated yet. Since the doctors are on staff with the federal government, they have less legal ground to hide behind. Sergeant GPS says Biden is an L7 weenie for not agreeing to play Trump's golf game. This old guy says there isn't enough time in Biden's day to play a full 18 holes. After all, he's only scheduled to work 10 hours per day max, and that doesn't allow for meals and naps. 18 holes with Biden would take at least 12 hours of play. Joe Biden, there's no way he could ever make it. That's why Trump gave him 20 points. He can't play two sides. No way. Only one. And that would be the end of it. Look at this one. Oh my goodness, from MJ Powell. 50 new membos coming in from MJ Powell. We have so many new friends in the house. I'm so excited for this. Thank you, MJ Powell, for doing it. Let's give him a big welcome. And thank you, Donut, for clipping all these screens for us. Who's coming in? You know who it is. Porch View Farm. We got Zenith Perigi, Leonard F., Joseph P., Melissa M., Jimmy P., John Oswald, another slave is here. Colin DeBen, Dan B. We got Be Happy's here. Joanne M. Welcome. Richard R. We got, this one is Deanna McIntyre in the house. T.S. Tolkien. We have Patricia V. Timothy F. Mama Rowe. What's up, Dan F.? 3 girlies in the house. We got S. Young, Robert H. Venus G. We have Bruce S. Deepwood. Cindy G, Jennifer Starks in the house, Randy H, P-Dub Designs, we got Kirk H, Amanda M, GMA Judy, Kat Black's in the house. What's up, Tina Alonji, Stephanie H, Brian, Sarah H, Cola, Knucklefist, Teresa W, Patricia's in the house. Big Russ, what's up? Nancelot coming in. Sandy, Colorado. Maria, Sable Ruby Coco, Jack Graham, TC, Eric A, Kimberly G, all gifted membos courtesy of MJ Powell 101A in the house. Man, thank you, MJ, for doing that. 50 new membos coming in courtesy of MJ Powell. Remember who sent you in here, my friends, because that was a nice one. And we're excited to have you. We have members-only streams in the morning. We did a great stream this morning. And so go catch that up. Go catch up on that new stream because it's right fresh from this morning. Thanks, MJ. We got Cowboy Rob says, just leave Biden and Harris alone with Hillary. Yeah, you put them all in a room? That'd be like, yeah, like a scene from that Saw movie or something. You just put them all in a room. You put them all in there in a room and you put like a paperclip in there. It's like, all right, whoever comes out is going to be the nominee. We'll see in 1 hour. Only one's coming out. Only one. See who it is? It would be Hillary, right? Obviously. So what's up? Cheryl says, on today's Resistance Live, a hilarious lefty meltdown podcast, the attorney host said Trump will sue in some states if Biden is removed from the ballot. Why would they remove Biden from the ballot? Oh, because he's not the nominee? Oh, that makes sense, yeah. Well, I think the idea would be Trump would say, no, you're past the deadlines. Like, you can't change the ballots now, obviously. So, sorry, you're done. Yeah, you picked your nominee, you voted, you had a primary, the deadlines come and pass. They wouldn't let Trump on a ballot. They tried not to even let Trump on a ballot at the beginning anyways. So, yeah, we'll have questions about that. We'll have some ballot litigation when they try to do the old swap-a-roo. Thanks for that, Cheryl. Sounds like an interesting one. Resistance Live. Fun. Hey, what's up? Rob says, maybe the deep state used a directed energy weapon on Biden. Well, there was that ridiculous story that the Russians did that. Yeah, somebody was speculating the Russians maybe put a beam in his brain, which is why it stopped functioning. Like they beamed it, scrambled his brain. I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so, though, because that beam would have to be on like all the time because his brain's always broken. Flea Speech says, hail Bobby G and fellow watchers, belated July 4th. Happy belated to you, Flea Speech. Happy end o' Biden's days. He love from Denmark. Shout out to our friends in Denmark. What a cool place to hail from. Thanks for saying that, Flea Speech. And happy belated 4th to you back. We got Knox's here. Says Clooney's lawyer wife is on the legal team that wanted warrants against Netanyahu, and the White House threatened the legal team. Ah. So Clooney's coming to defend his woman. Ah, makes sense. Finn Contracting says, how would RFK respond if they tried to get rid of Joe? Would it be enough for him to throw his support behind Trump, considering what they did to his uncle? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know that would change his support. I think he'd say that supports his candidacy more. I don't think he would go and support Trump. I think he'd say, that's why you need me, because I'm the one who's going to stand up to these people. Or he'd say, you should just nominate me. Part of that, I think, part of his argument has been you should have just nominated me, morons. I was trying to run as a Democrat. You threw me out. Didn't even give me an opportunity. So I could see that also happening. But my friends, thank you so much for sending those in. Very generous, as always. Great comments, and I very much appreciate your support. Let's say hello to our friends on X before we go over to watchingthewatchers.locals to debrief on the day. We had some comments come in. Fred Pedamonte said Ben Affleck or Ben Shapiro, dude. Both. Yeah, both could be for anything. Hey, we have this one. George is here. Says the movie Beekeeper is about Hunter. What's up, B. Myers? Thanks for that. Said Irene says, Rob, don't tick off GARM, okay? They are buddies with those bad shampoo people, and you know how much we hate bad shampoo. Hey, Spud says Luna for future Speaker of the House, and this one came in from the Babylon Bee. They also reported, did you see this story from the Babylon Bee? In the new Ocean's 14 movie, which is coming out in Hollywood soon, George Clooney pulls off a $30 million heist. How'd he do it? He tricked people to giving money to a politician in a fundraiser. Then just, turns out he lied. The guy was demented. So he just kind of grifted $30 million off of all of them with, I guess Julia Roberts was there too. So aren't they just amazing? So, all right. So that is, my friends, what is happening over on X. You can, of course, watch the show, follow us over there. Here's what it looks like. We appreciate you following us on all the platforms. But that is it for us on the day. And we have, I wanted to say, I thought we had one additional comment that maybe I had missed the other day. Let's see where this one was. Yes, from GGAM. This one came out from GGAM a couple days ago that I was not able to attend to on the morning stream due to time. But GGAM sent this one in yesterday. Says, I'm sorry life has been keeping me away, and I don't see it lightening up over the next couple weeks. We miss you, GGAM, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll be back in the meme in full force soon, starting probably mid-August. Says, I'll miss y'all. Oh, yeah, and hit that like button. So that's from GGAM, our meme smith extraordinaire, who dropped that in one of our Membo-only morning streams, and just reminding everybody that she'll be here, but in spirit. And GGAM will be here upon your valiant return. Looking forward to it. So, my friends, that is going to be it for us on the day. We're going to go hang out at watchingthewatchers.locals.com, where we do our after party debriefs, take some comments and some debrief over there. Come and join us. New membos on YouTube or on Locals. You'll see today's morning stream there where we talked about some other good stuff, so check that out. We also have our website, robertgovea.com, where we post our PDFs, and watcherlodge.com, fun stuff cooking over there. Before we wrap it up on the day, want to say thanks to our mods and our meme smiths in the house. K-Bean in the house, Just Cause, Playing Hooky, Ronnie Cole, our friend Zach Nichols, Janek, we got Dog Digger, Economy Pilot, Donut Mind Me, Carrie B, and Zulu modding down the fort for us, along with Sleepy Dog Lee, Nathan N810, Gigam Gigam, Glocky McGlock, and Elliot, our Dockmaster, all keeping the train on the tracks here today, my friends. Grateful for you, grateful for our mods, grateful for all the donos, all the support, for your tremendous comments, and our friends in the chat. Grateful to see everybody here. We are, of course, going to pause here for the night, but we're going to come back tomorrow to get into it again. Joe Biden's going to have a press conference. We're going to see if there's new filings in any of these other cases. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.